I forgot that Cody Rhodes was in AEW.
Yeah, well, because a vicious circle flare.
Ow! That's good shit, pal.
There will be no safe word.
The main event.
Hello. I am your host, Ed Felix.
And I am your co-host, P. Whitty, from somewhere in deepest, darkest suburban Phoenix metropolitan area.
That's right. And welcome to the Jobbing Jabronis podcast, or as our friends call it, holy shit, these guys should get a job. And what do we do here, Paul?
We somehow managed to watch this crap so you don't have to, because we know you have fulfilling and wonderful lives.
They're watching us live on stream on Facebook. I don't know about the fulfilling part, but you know what? Yeah, we watched WWE so you don't have to. And you know what? You actually should have watched last night's episode of WWE Raw because some drama went down. And
Yeah.
we will get to that. But for now, let's get right into the show. We kick off the show with Bobby Lashley facing Omos in a steel cage match.
Nice.
And yeah, we kick off with MVP and Omos entering the cage. You know, MVP on his usual stuff says, we're going to witness a spectacle of destruction tonight. He says Omos is the future, a man, you know, better than Bobby Lashley for some reason. And Lashley gets immediately jumped by Cedric Alexander as he's heading to the ring. And Cedric just stays out there for some reason, just interfering the whole time, prevents Bobby from escaping the cage a couple times. It's pretty wild.
And why would a 7-foot Nigerian giant even need Cedric Alexander's help in the first place?
That is true. Like you're talking about the most genetically gifted wrestler of all time in Omos. I mean, this guy is a better wrestler than the best there ever was, the great Khali. But he needs, you know, a henchman out here helping him win a match. It doesn't make sense.
But I was actually surprised that No Moss did not actually win the match. Because I don't know if you noticed in Lashley's entrance, he did not have nearly as much baby oil in his intro. His body was definitely not as oiled up as it normally is. And I thought that was a sign he just wasn't prepared for the match.
You know what? Thinking about it, though, the fact that he wasn't covered head to toe in KY jelly this time, it probably... He what?
KY jelly. My apologies, of course.
Yeah. It's we got a brand deal. You gotta respect the brand deal. But I think him not being covered head to toe in KY jelly probably helped him get more friction with the cage, which is why you know he ended up winning. And you know, Omos literally throws Bobby through the cage, and Bobby lands on the outside. But, you know, still on the panel that just exploded when Omos threw him on it. And then Bobby just... And what?
I don't know how that happened. I mean, what is it? Poor Bobby Lashley, in the last 2 weeks, he's been like Mr. Defective Ring. Like last week in Europe, like the ropes broke and he flew out of the ring. And this week, now the steel cage breaks. What is it? What's next?
There's some serious OSHA violations going on in this industry, and that's probably why that walkout that we're gonna get to happened.
Yeah, but actually, you know, my favorite part of the match had to be the beginning when MVP gave the most detailed explanation of what a steel cage match was. I mean, it rivaled the pay-per-view explanation of what an I Quit match is. People, you know, a steel cage match. No Moss will be inside a steel cage. And blah, it went on for like 10 minutes describing a steel cage.
Yeah, WWE really does have the same audience as Dora the Explorer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every match stipulation needs to be explained in detail. And I'm just glad the steel cage match didn't main event because, God, the amount of explanations we would have gotten on how a steel cage match works.
Good point.
Anywho, after Omos throws Bobby through the panel, Bobby just kind of, you know, slowly realizes where he is, while Omos kind of just stands in the ring like an idiot, just kind of staring at him.
Yep.
Just in shock that Omos is just standing there in shock that he would have the power to do this to a man. Yeah. It was insane. And then
just
Bobby
that
just kind of
one quadrant. The rest of the cage stayed in perfect shape.
perfectly fine. Some great engineer. It's like, the way they engineer cars now. You get the panels that blow up, but the whole thing maintains its integrity.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bobby just kind of drunkenly stumbles off the panel that he lands on and just wins the match.
and then flexes.
Yeah. And that spot is a very common occurrence now. I do kind of feel like they're severely abusing it. The way they do with the exploding ring. We've seen the exploding cage a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That spot did give me flashbacks to Bobby Lashley flying through the cage in his 2006 ECW days, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, the good old WWF ECW.
Yeah, I forget who he was facing, but he literally cannonballed himself through the cage. The panel exploded just like it did here, except it landed on a guy.
Yeah. They need to go back to old school wrestling and have Hornswoggle come out of the ring. That's
just cannonball Hornswoggle through the cage.
Yeah, they should have Hornswoggle come out the ring and hold Nomos's leg while Bobby can leave the ring. Now that would have been fun.
Yeah, but apparently this feud isn't over because Bobby Lashley has challenged Omos to the Almighty Challenge next week, and we'll see what that's about.
Oh my God, the Almighty Challenge! Or is
it what?
Or is it just because they have no one else for Lashley to fight?
Yeah, that's probably more like it. I would assume the challenge consists of, who can rub their entire body in KY jelly the fastest. And clearly Bobby's got an advantage here because Omos has about 3 feet more of surface area to rub KY jelly.
You might be on to wait. Yeah, maybe you're right. It'll be like a posing challenge with KY jelly. And this might be a groundbreaking feud then. I don't think any feud has ever had an arm wrestling challenge and a posing challenge the same feud.
In the same feud. The KY Jelly Challenge is really what they should be calling this. But I'm looking forward to it. Last time they did a challenge, like you said, they did the arm wrestling challenge where they forgot the white powder that is integral to that segment. And nobody's going to be forgetting the KY Jelly for the Almighty Challenge between Bobby Lashley and Omos next week. And just like that, I'd like to announce that we have a very special guest reviewer joining us today who's going to, walk us through our favorite segments and give us ratings on each match within the show.
Yo. Hey, Edwin, how you doing, boy?
Hey, it's Sasha Banks. We found her. She's here.
Yeah, I watched this match. I watched the entire crowd just for you because I've heard all about the Job and Jabronis podcast. It's awesome. You guys sure know how to write. Unlike those WWF assholes, you guys do a good old job writing. And you're funny, too. I love funny stand-up comedians. You know that. But, I love Bobby. He's a great guy. And No Moss, he's a great guy, too. But they just could not make this match work with a stupid writer. So I got to give it a future endeavors, But I love you, Bobby. I love you, No Moss. And I'm sure you guys can do better. We just got to get this writing under control, Okay.
Thank you, Sasha. We appreciate you quitting your high-paying $1 million job to be an unemployed podcast host with us. It means a lot.
Oh, what's that? Oh, my Sally. I got some P. Diddy calling. I'll see you later. Bye.
And we'll kick off the next segment. I'm going to kick off the 3-minute timer right now.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of heat time.
That's right. We move on to Austin Theory versus Mustafa Ali, or so we think, because Austin Theory comes out and just starts saying all kinds of clearly racially motivated comments at Mustafa Ali, and says he can't trust him. He really can't just wrestle him because he feels like he's gonna cheat, and the only way they could wrestle is if Theory brought out a special guest referee, and that turns out to be none other than The Miz, just like last week. But then The Miz comes out and says that they still can't trust Ali and that he actually doesn't deserve a United States Championship match.
Which and kind of agree with.
Yeah, I
what has he really done?
Like this guy, was missing for years. It felt comes back, loses to everybody, and he feels like he deserves a title shot. It doesn't make any sense. Back to the back to the shelf with Mustafa Ali. So instead of facing Austin Theory announces that Mustafa Ali's opponent is actually going to be Veer Mahan.
Oh, and I felt so sorry for Ali at this point. I mean, he does not deserve a broken cervix. I'm sorry. I mean, he may not be great, but
nobody deserves a fractured cervix. And for our viewers who don't know, Veer Mahan's finisher is the cervical clutch, which he tends to leave locked in for hours at a time until his opponent's cervix are completely unsalvageable. Cervixes. I don't know what the plural for cervix is, but Veer Mahan destroys them all, baby. And that's exactly what he does to Mustafa Ali. He locks in the cervical clutch and just ruins poor Mustafa Ali, while Austin Theory takes a selfie and just enjoys the destruction, the punishment going on here.
But why would Veer even put up with this? Again, what is Veer Mahan? A monster. Would a monster pose for selfies?
He would not.
Why wouldn't he just go and try to destroy Austin next? And then Miz next? And just break all their cervixes, because more broken cervixes, the merrier, right?
That's what I was expecting. That's what I was expecting. Just come back from commercial and there's just a bloodbath, pieces of cervix everywhere. But sadly, that's not what we got.
But wait, who saved Ali? The returning Mysterio family.
That's right. Dominic and Rey Mysterio make their return. I assume, after a long road of recovery, for their own broken cervix that Veer Mahan gave them a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. No, I will give the Mysterios kudos. Like, how many times you see returning wrestlers, they do like Jeff Hardy in AEW a few weeks ago, takes time to dance before they save their team making their broken cervix. They actually did not stop and like pose or anything. They just ran to the ring. Like they actually had a purpose. So I was impressed by that with the Mysterios.
You're right. You're right. I did love that from Jeff. Well, Matt is literally getting his skull stomped on.
Yeah.
But Mysterio and Dominic were very efficient. Even at the end too, they did a couple quick Hurricane Ranas on Veer Mahan, and then they ran back up the ramp because ain't nobody sticking around to figure out what Veer Mahan is going to do to him.
Though Ray was probably sad he didn't get a piggyback ride, but
yeah,
maybe with the cervix, maybe that's another sign Dominic's cervix just isn't where it should be yet, and he's not piggyback able, but soon.
Yeah, soon. Well, one of these days, I'm sure Veer is going to be in a stable with the both of them. But can we get a rating on this match from our guest reviewer, Sasha Banks?
Oh man, the writers, that selfie should have been totally from the other direction. Edwin, that just didn't really make much sense to me. But again, I love them. I love the WWF. I wish I could be back, but I just don't understand what they're doing with Veer or Ali or that Austin man. McMahon already loves him. I used to be in that position where he put me in all those good matches. Little bastard. I mean. Future endeavor, Edwin, but it's not the talent. It's just what they're doing with the talent. Free us now! Free us now! Free us now! Where's Sami Zayn? I want to join the union. Bye.
Yeah, I remember the days when they used to put Sasha Banks in important matches like, women's championship matches.
She used to be the one. And now she's gone.
Forever. And then we get of course a backstage segment between Becky Lynch and Adam Pearce, and boy,
Mr. Personality.
That's right. Boy, are we getting to the good stuff here. Becky Lynch tells Adam Pearce, that the 6-pack challenge that was scheduled for the main event, that was a 6-pack challenge with 6 women to determine the number 1 contender for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch says that can't happen tonight because apparently Sasha Banks and Naomi just dipped. They left the building, and the just dropped off their titles, John Laurinaitis' office, and they're off apparently. And Becky says she should get the night off.
Yeah.
Which of course Adam instead puts her in a match with Asuka. But we got to talk about the meta stuff now.
Well, actually, first off, I think Sasha and Naomi might have actually done the WWF, and I said F Panda, a service. Have you ever seen a 6-pack challenge live?
I have not.
Okay.
Are they good?
There was a time many years ago, 5 years or so ago, my son loved wrestling. He was going through a phase he loved it. I took him to a few live events. He had a great old time until a 6-pack challenge. Because while on TV, it might be slightly interesting. Live, it was the most god-awful, boring match I had ever seen. He went to sleep during it. He has not watched wrestling since.
Damn. That's
because it was an hour and a half match. And okay, on TV it looked decent, but live, you couldn't hear any of the interviews they did in between wrestler transitions. There were so many ads, and during the ads, there was so much rest time and dead holds of no action. It was so boring.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so they...
And this is not a joke. I am being totally serious. My son has not wanted to watch any wrestling since that 6-pack challenge.
Maybe the reasons why these ladies dipped have been widely misreported, and they actually just wanted to save us from the horror of what your son went through.
Yes, I think they were trying to save many other children out there. Exactly. And it's probably going to be Asuka and Lynch at the end anyway. So they just cut to the chase.
They did. Just get it out of the way.
Can I just get Sasha? You and Naomi did the writers of the WWF a favor by quitting last night. So, I'm sorry. I know I didn't mean. I just had to get that out to you, Edwin. That's
it's
gotta, not funny, but it's true.
It's true. It's damn true. I don't think people are really exploring the real reason why these ladies walked out, and I think you just killed it. I think that's absolutely accurate, and I haven't seen that in any of the news reports that I've read.
So all you jerks out there that say, "Oh, some comedians, they aren't funny." No, we're not always going to be funny. That doesn't mean we're not going to be insightful, creative, and thought-provoking.
Just because we're not funny doesn't mean we're not human beings. God,
we have a family. Sorry.
Yeah, so a lot of news reports on what potentially happened last night, and the consensus story at the moment is that Naomi and Sasha walked into Raw sometime in the afternoon. They were given the plans for the main event of the evening, which featured both of them in the 6-pack challenge for the number one contender spot for Bianca
Because they
Belair's...
have 6 women signed to Raw, so it had to be all 6 women.
It had to be all 6 of them. You wouldn't have a 5-pack challenge, right? So Sasha and Naomi walk into the boss's office, or I'm sorry, John Laurinaitis' office, stating their displeasure with the plans, because apparently the plan was to have Naomi actually win the 6-pack challenge. And you might think that doesn't sound so bad. These 2 very talented tag team champions. Why not have Naomi win a 6-pack challenge?
Fucking bullshit!
Oh, just killed our timer. I ran the light.
Oh, it's my fault.
But this is important, so we're gonna keep talking about it.
Yes.
Why not have Naomi, win the 6-pack challenge and fight Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell? But that wasn't the problem. The problem was that they were gonna have Naomi face Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell and lose, and they were also going to have Sasha Banks face Ronda Rousey at Hell in a Cell. They're going to build a feud in the next week or so on SmackDown. And then Sasha Banks was also going to lose. And that doesn't seem awful at first sight, but I think the real problem they had with this was, Vince pitched them on winning the tag team championships at WrestleMania and building out the division. And now that WrestleMania is over, nobody really gives a shit about the tag team division, especially not the writers. So
Vince never cares about tag teams.
Yeah, their idea of developing it is just to feed the tag team champions to the current singles women's champions, and that was a problem Sasha and Naomi had.
No, actually, now that you meant, did not know about that Naomi was actually supposed to win. Then why wouldn't Naomi become part of the bloodline? Because they need another belt to join with her husband, the Usos. That actually makes sense now that I think about it.
That does make sense. And another interesting thing, apparently after the tag champs dipped, Becky Lynch pitched the backstage segment and main event to Vince, who approved it on the spot. And they filmed it like literally right after Sasha and Naomi left, which pretty impressive. They could put stuff together that quickly.
Well, they're the only other two women wrestlers there. That would make sense.
Yeah. I will say I am very concerned for Naomi. I think they're obviously amazing wrestlers, but all of the talk I've seen about this has been about Sasha Banks. And if Sasha Banks gets let go from WWE, she's going to land on her feet. Right? She can go to any promotion in the world. I don't know if Naomi has that luxury.
Yeah. Or maybe Naomi can just play like Mike Rotunda back when when Rotunda and Wyndham left in the mid 80s, and just eventually she'll come back. I mean, at least she has relations with Uso, and
yeah,
she might be able to work that back in.
She's married to I think it's Jay. I have a hard time telling them apart, other than the fact that one of them just stumbles all the time.
Yeah, but yeah, it'd be interesting. Of course, it could all just be a big work too.
It definitely could, and they've worked us before. But it was the reason I think it's not a work is because of the press release WWE made, where they straight up accused Sasha and Naomi of being unprofessional, which I think that's rare for them to put something out like that. They also had Corey Graves just blasting them on commentary, calling them unprofessional, and just ditching work, and what's that?
Oh, but then again, if you want to get these two women over in a couple weeks, kind of go back to that horrible Ali gimmick of a year ago where they were supposedly revolutionaries. Actually have these two women come back and kick Corey Graves' ass. The fans would love that.
He would.
Talk about getting them over.
They would love that.
We heard what you said, and they totally almost decapitated. No, I mean, just do as much as you can. Take care of them. That could actually get them over.
That could work very well, especially if they beat up Carmella too.
Yeah, exactly. Heck, maybe beat up Vince McMahon.
Yeah, they should. And Vince is willing to get back in the ring. They should do it.
He'll do anything.
He'll do anything. But yeah, a lot of blame being thrown around. I don't really know who's wrong here. And I heard a couple of people say that they just straight up violated their contracts by refusing to perform. I don't know about that. I think it's all about who has leverage and who doesn't. And in this situation, I actually don't know who has leverage and who doesn't. I don't know how this is going to turn out at all. It's possible Sasha gets released. It's possible she has more than enough, pull backstage to actually change a couple things around. I mean, her and Bailey, I think, pulled a similar, move a couple years ago after that one WrestleMania.
Yep. But well, then again, to make me think this isn't a work, Edwin. Well, great. We haven't been doing this podcast for a long time, but this is the first time I think we've actually discussed something. I have no idea what's going to happen. This is actually kind of interesting. And I might actually want to watch next week to see are they going to show up. So if they are purposely doing this with that Instagram note, with all these other things, make it look as professional as possible, they might be doing an excellent job.
It's the first time we've actually discussed something.
Unless you can think of another one. I mean, Yes, and
And
Nui Bobby Lashley is interesting, but not to this level.
yeah, I think this is new for us.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll see what happens next week. I wouldn't. Part of me thinks they're just gonna show up next week and because WWE threatens to take them to court, and they're both gonna lose to Ronda Rousey in a
oh my
2-on-1
god.
match, like in the good old days. Remember that? You just have the champ beat the tag champs in handicap matches, and you'd have the WWE champ winning the tag team titles with somebody that doesn't do tag wrestling at all.
You just ruined this whole plot for me. Yes, I see what's going to happen.
I think
Yes,
that's what's in store for them.
They're going to have a horrible court case next week with R-Truth as the judge.
Wrestlers Court. The Undertaker is going to come back and judge them. But I would love to have a rating on this walkout drama.
Edwin, I was so excited about something interesting. You just ruined it for me.
If that doesn't happen next week, I'll give you $5.
Well, since you boys were talking about me, I gotta say this was some pretty good shit. But is it a work? Am I gonna be on AEW next week? Will I be on the Wrestlers Court? Y'all just keep watching and find out. Okay, people? See you later.
And then we move on to the creepiest segment of the show, because we cut to Liv Morgan backstage. Who's talking about, how many times Rhea has beat her ass. And she's interrupted by Los Lotharios.
Hola, muchacha. ¿Quieres la cámara de beso?
Which is exactly what they actually told her, but just a little creepier somehow. And,
I don't know if that was the creepiest part of the segment, though, Edwin.
What was the creepiest part?
I mean, I think it was creepier when, well, first off, Uncle, like, AJ and Finn show up. AJ's kind of like, acting kind of like Uncle AJ to life. Hey, you mess with life. Oh, Uncle AJ. And then AJ and Finn are like, hey, you know what? We're fighting Edge and his, like, group. They got a woman, and we can't wrestle this woman. We can't touch her. We need someone that actually touch a woman. You're a woman. You can touch her. Will you help us? And Liv was like, I think Liv at first thought that they wanted to do a three-way or something. And she was like, so she like,
which is actually the second three-way she'd been propositioned for that same night.
Yeah. So then she, of course, what did she say? I'll think about it. Which, now this is great writing, isn't it? I mean, the doubt, is Lit Live going to join AJ and Finn or not? Man, stay tuned for the next 2 hours, and right after Cody Rhodes, you'll find out the answer. Wait. But when was it revealed?
Immediately.
But wait, at least they announced AJ, then they announced Finn, and then they announced, oh, there's her music. Is she going to show up or not? Drama. Oh, wait, no, they had her come out first.
That's right. She came out first. No drama at all. At least have her do, like, I don't know, that was so easy. Just, Rhea's beating on these guys, and since they're not legally allowed to hit back because it's WWE, just you have Liv run out. It's such an easy segment to do. But instead, she just came out.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot the Judgment Day segment.
Oh, that's right. Get Edge on the black casting couch, telling it was very oddly sexual. Edge is like, you can either, join me or, be on my feet or something like that.
That is true.
It escalated quickly.
I wonder if he was like taking a line from Matt Lauer when he was at the Today Show.
Yeah. And then Edge tells AJ that, he used to be just like him. He wanted to please the fans at every turn. And you know what pleasing the fans did? Broke my neck.
Yeah.
That's what Edge tells AJ. The fans broke his neck. Wasn't him, jumping off of ladders and shit back in the day
Yeah.
on his own accord.
Then Damian Priest is there by his side, looking like a kind of a creepy youth minister.
Yeah. And this backstage segment was actually way too long, by the way. I feel like they cut back and forth 3, 4, 5 times. But then we get that match between Los Lotharios and AJ Styles and Finn Balor. And yeah, Liv Morgan comes out first, which was hilarious. They beat the Lotharios, no problem, who
No way.
I think are now gonna be relegated to horny jail.
And then all indie wrestling fans got what they wanted. Liv Taylor joining the fake Bullet Club, doing the sign.
Fake Bullet Club.
I mean, you cannot tell me that is not going to appeal to all indie fans everywhere.
Yeah,
all Bullet Club. I mean, that's going to make Japanese purist wrestlers watch the WWF. And I said, F Panda, come get me. Because, man, if there is one person that should be in the Bullet Club, Liv Taylor, right? Am I right?
Oh yeah, they all collectively cream themselves. You know, people love Liv Morgan, people love the Bullet Club. So see all these indie fans at home just all having a simultaneous orgasm.
Oh, and once again, showing off Vince's disdain for tag teams. Oh, what do you do with Los Lotharios, a real tag team, versus Finn and AJ, two good singles wrestlers, but never been really a tag team together. Of course, who wins?
That's right. The
two singles wrestlers.
You gotta. Those tag team wrestlers are just chumps. And before we rate this, Los Lotharios reminds me a lot of what were those guys? Primo and Epico.
Oh yeah, the Cologne
guys. The Colognes. They used to be. They had their gimmicks just got more stereotypical as time went on.
Yeah,
like they got turned into Los Matadores, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They literally had a small person come out with them in a
El Torito
costume. El Torito.
Torito. You mean hola, Edwin? ¿Cómo estás? And remember that epic feud when you had El Torito versus Hornswoggle. Oh, that was a good match.
And I would imagine that when they objected to this offensive gimmick, Vince was like, "Oh, I'll do you one, pal. You want to be two Puerto Ricans selling timeshares, pal? That's good shit."
Yeah. Though, fun fact, I've only taken a sign to one wrestling event, and it was about the Colognes.
Where was that?
It was in Phoenix. It was in Phoenix. Maybe one of the Monday Night Raws, and it was the Colognes fear Bruiser Brody
because they do.
Well, they helped kill him
because their dad killed.
Well, didn't
Bruiser
kill,
Brody.
but covered it up.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Helped with the cover up. So, fun fact, not funny. I know, not funny, but true.
A lot of shadiness in that family. But can we get a rating on this match from our guest reviewer, Sasha Banks?
Edwin. And once again, this match shows how little Vince McMahon, VKM, I like to call him, or Big Daddy, cool, feels about tag team wrestling. Because, of course, Lotharios, great tag team boys, I love you. Just get crapped on. So, future endeavor this match, but in so doing, it's you writers, you idiots, not the wrestlers. I love you, boys. Hope to see you soon, either here in AEW. Bye-bye.
And we'll kick off a new segment here because I got you for 3 minutes.
I got you for 3 minutes.
Ooh,
3
yeah.
minutes of heat time.
That's right. We move on to Chad Gable and Kevin Owens backstage, where apparently Chad Gable's been working on DNA testing Ezekiel because for some reason him and Kevin Owens believe that Ezekiel is lying about who he truly is. They think that he's got to be Elias, which obviously doesn't make sense because they're clearly different people. So there's some Jerry Springer stuff going on here with the DNA test. And, Chad Gable relays his most recent DNA results to Kevin Owens, but it turns out that these results are useless because they have been tainted by barbecue sauce that Otis just binges on all the time.
This is why you have writers, Edwin, for gold like this. And sadly, I bet you that made Vince McMahon chuckle. Oh, barbecue sauce. Oh, that fat boy Otis. Yeah. Oh, he get barbecue sauce all over the DNA test. That is genius. Pritchard, check mark.
A fat boy Otis. and we'll move on because I don't. Do you have Otis?
Somewhere. I just saw him earlier. Where are you, big man? 1 second. You up here?
He walked out along with Sasha Banks.
I just saw you. Oh, there you are, big man.
It can't be hard to find. Big boy covered in
barbecue
sauce.
Oh, yeah. How you doing? Hello there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. This is the closest action figure I have to that big guy behind me. Mm-hmm. Look at that detail. Lots of barbecue in there. Mm-hmm. But, hey, Mandy dug this look for a while. Good old days.
Otis just in that sweet baby raise.
Yep.
That's also a sad career trajectory. My man was the holder of the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Well, more importantly, the holder of Mandy. And now I'm stuck with a guy that goes sheesh all the time instead of yep, things are bad. Things are bad. Not mention I don't have my hair anymore either.
That is the saddest thing, where you win the Money in the Bank and then management just decides, you know what, we actually would not consider this guy being champion under any circumstances.
Nope. All because of barbecue. All because of barbecue. And now the way I'm making Otis sound, I think I'm giving them their next gimmick. They're going to turn me into Rain Man. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to turn me into Rain Man. They're going to call me Eugene's cousin. Oh, no. Sasha, can I get your phone number? I might need a job. Bye-bye.
And just like that, we got 5 seconds left on the clock. So we're going to move on to the best segment of the show, both of our favorites for sure, because the Cody counter is done, and we get Cody Rhodes with his promo, and here it comes down the ramp.
Of all the things to have a counter for 2 hours, a Cody Rhodes promo. Even Hulk Hogan got that back in the day.
He's got to have that ironclad contract that they allegedly gave to the Big Show in 2013. Because it's got to have. I mean, he's a made man. I assume his contract says he has to win the title by a certain year, so that's gonna happen. But yeah, he comes out and he talks about how Seth Rollins jumped him last week and tells their story, and the very thespian story.
Didn't he sound like a high schooler, like that annoying guy in high school drama king in senior year who took everything way too seriously, but of course in that Shakespeare class nailed the Julius Caesar thing he had to memorize. Oh, Caesar, the evil is oft interred into their bones. Screw that guy.
It was very pompous. I stopped taking Cody seriously when he came out on Raw with a promo talking about how he's a pretty voracious reader, and then went on to quote Kung Fu Panda, the movie.
Yeah, this is Raw. I don't want to hear 5-syllable words.
And this promo had potential if it wasn't delivered so pompously. But he talked about how last time he was here, Seth Rollins was killing it, coming up with the Shield and just hitting the big time, while he was in the back just putting on face paint and dying on the inside.
For good reason, because he's boring. You're boring, Cody.
But man, that part I did think was pretty brutal. Just from an emotional standpoint. Like, you're the son of Dusty Rhodes and you think you're, set up to do all these great things. And this indie wrestler with no, royal family lineage just comes out and essentially kills it while you're dressing like a clown backstage. It's
Because
pretty
he's
brutal.
entertaining. Cody, you're boring. Randy Orton had your same background. Cowboy Bob was his dad, and he made it because he learned and you became interesting. Cody, you're boring. And I was inspired by this promo in one thing, Edwin. Finally, it seemed like the crowd while he was talking couldn't care less. It sounded like crickets were in the audience for a large part of that promo. That made me feel good.
It was incredibly silent. And I did hear some big cheers in the beginning, but I don't know anymore. They sounded pretty piped in to me looking at the crowd.
I think it's like the fireworks.
Yeah. It comes with the budget.
I mean, fireworks, boom, yeah, boom, yeah. It's kind of your trains.
For all we know, they're probably spending more money on piped in cheers for Cody than they are on fireworks.
That is true.
I can guarantee you that.
But that's kind of good money.
But then, and then Seth challenges Seth Rollins to the last battle in their trilogy. Challenges him to a match at Hell in a Cell, which, from what I hear, allegedly is taking place inside a pink Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure Hell in a Cell. So that should be cool. Pretty hellish theme. And Seth accepts the challenge and says he's gonna do some horrible things to Cody involving the whatever KY jelly is left from the Almighty Challenge next week. Seth Rollins is gonna use to dismember Cody.
Ooh.
No, just
that
like that.
Something to watch.
I know Sasha, was able to watch this segment from the comfort of her own home because she dipped. But can we get a rating on this Cody Rhodes promo?
Edwin. Okay, Cody. He was with the competition for 2 years. He left the WWF. He comes back. He's treated like a god. I've been here for nearly a decade now. Given my all to the sport. They treat me like crap. So what do you think I'm going to give this segment for that piece of trash, Cody Rhodes? Yeah, I said trash, Cody. Come get me. You can find me. I might be in AEW with their buddies. Yeah, I'll keep the Young Bucks. Yeah, I'd love to meet the Young Bucks. They seem kind of cool. They have personality, unlike you little a-hole. So future endeavor this segment, though Seth almost saved it. Because, man, that fishnet shirt on a guy, pretty sexy.
Oh, yeah. Pretty hot.
But
wait for Gunther to rip it off and slap him in the titty next week.
Ooh, Edwin. Gunther in fishnets. Now that would get a good shit pal. But not this piece of crap. Bye-bye.
This episode is not doing well. And, we're not as biased as people think. Like,
No.
the last pay-per-view and the last episode of SmackDown both got an overall good shit from us. We are as objective as you can be.
No, Sasha, I think, is just a little bit in a bad mood, which I can't understand.
Yeah,
After what she's been through.
I totally get it. She's been disrespected. She's the boat. She shouldn't be treated like that. But I am kicking off another 3-minute timer because we move on to the main event of the evening. Well, at least what we consider to be the main event of the evening.
Come on down here, Lacey.
Because we get Lacey Evans coming down to the ring.
Hey, Edwin.
Where's your husband Rick?
Woo! He's home with a baby, He's letting his mama work while he's staying home working. He's a really busy man, Edwin.
He's at work, like training for his last wrestling match.
Yep, he's with a baby and working on wrestling.
Are you worried that if Rick wrestles for more than 15 seconds, his pacemaker is just going to give out?
No.
A life insurance must be good.
Oh, sorry. I just found out. I guess on a side note, I need to go pick up my son.
Cool. And yeah, we are going to wrap up this episode in just a minute here. But Lacey Evans comes down to the ring, talks about how much respect she has for all the men and women of the armed forces. And, thanks to WWE Universe for supporting her. And we'll see how this one turns out. I don't know, much like the Sasha Banks situation, I don't know where this is going. I still think there's a very good chance they turn Lacey heel.
Oh, yeah.
But we will see. And just like that, we move on to the actual main event of the evening. Oh, I'm sorry. Lacey,
I will just stop my video. You can finish up. Sorry about that, but I need.
Yeah, no worries. We'll chat soon. Bye bye.
I thought it was gonna be later. So
yeah, no
live podcasting.
Bye. And just like that, we move on to the main event of the evening. Asuka versus Becky Lynch, which was apparently a last-minute match that was put together after Sasha Banks and Naomi just dipped. And it was pretty impressive. They were able to put this match together on such short notice. Just total pros. For the ending of the match here, we get the classic spot where one of the opponents gets thrown onto the current champion. In this case, that was Asuka getting thrown onto Bianca Belair at ringside. And then Asuka kind of stumbles back into the ring. Becky Lynch tries to hit her with her umbrella that tries to hit her with her umbrella that Asuka uses for her entrance. But Becky can't even take a swing because Asuka hits her with the green mist, hits her in the head, and pins her for the win. Pretty crazy. And this match was even crazier because it just had, the kind of the meta context of these two ladies walking out on Raw. So we'll see what happens with that next week. But as of now, we're going to get Asuka versus Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell, where I assume Asuka will lose the match pretty easily. And we'll see what happens next week. And
Fucking bullshit!
Ran the light. I will personally give this segment a good shit because it was pretty amazing that they were able to put this together so quick, and it was a good quality match. So our final conclusive rating for this episode of Raw is 2-4 in favor of Future Endeavor. Overall, this episode was not worth watching. But, sometimes they aren't. That's wrestling for you. But that being said, we have reached the end of the Jobbing Jabronis podcast. We go live for every review of every review of Raw, every episode of SmackDown, and every major pay-per-view. So make sure to subscribe, tune in next week, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.